If you got a question for the master gardener, Jan Meeuwsen, she is with DeBruyn Seed, Washington Elm in downtown Zeeland. She'll be happy to take it at 395-1450, 395-1450. A little bit later on, we'll go through the award category, some of the the hot topics, as they say.
Yes.
The people asking questions over the past week at DeBruyn Seed. And we'll do that in a little bit. It's October 6th. It's not June 6th. So why should we be talking about strawberries right now, Jan?
Well, strawberries have to be put to bed in the fall. They can't just be sitting out there in the winter. They don't do well. So we have to wait till they go dormant. And that means there's no little green leaves on it anymore. Wait till they go dormant. And then we pick off all the dead and wilted leaves, and then we give them a good blanket over top. Most people just use straw, but a good blanket of straw over top of them, and will keep them, the crowns of the plant, alive during the winter, and that's all we want. So that we need to put that blanket on those strawberries for the winter.
Straw is pretty much the best thing to do.
That's the best one. Some people will use pine needles. I don't think I would use leaves for that one. Straw is the preferred blanket.
395-1450. Let's get to a phone call that has somebody on the other end of the line. Good morning. You're on the line with the master gardener, Jan Meeuwsen.
Two quick questions. Black-eyed Susans and butterfly plants. Can you plant them now in the fall, or should I wait to spring to do that? And I'll hang up and listen.
Appreciate the call. Thank you.
This is the perfect time of year to plant them. And if you've got them, dig them up, divide them, and, spread them out too. This is a great time of year to do that. I just got a butterfly bush in myself. So, yes, perfect time to do that.
Now, let's continue on. By the way, if you have a question for Jan, you're probably better than any of the questions I can pose. 395-1450, 395-1450. We talked about putting the strawberries to bed, but it's also a case of some of the early plants, early crops that come in April or so. This is the time to put them to bed too, such as the rhubarb and the asparagus.
Yes, asparagus, once the little ferny things on top, fronds, I don't know what you call them, they kind of get a little wilted and turn yellow after a frost. Cut them all back. And then again, another one that needs to be covered with, this time, compost is a great thing. Add 4 to 6 inches of compost on top of the asparagus. Put that to bed. You'll get much better asparagus if you do that next spring. Actually, some people say it's even sweeter when you do it this way. So make sure you cut the tops off and put on 4 to 6 inches of good compost. I think would be perfect for that.
Good morning. You're on the line with the master gardener, Jan Meeuwsen.
Yes, I have a question about strawberries. And I had heard, and I don't know if it's true, but every year the strawberries get a little smaller from the plants. And somebody said that it's a virus that affects those strawberries. Is that true?
There are lots of diseases that do affect viruses. But I think most of the time, if their things are getting smaller, it's because they just need a little more fertilizer. Usually you fertilize them in the spring when you take off your the blanket for the winter. Fertilize them in the spring, and make sure that original plant that you put out after 3 years, that's basically done for. All the little runners that it sent out, that's where the new life is. So just keep in mind that your strawberry plant, your bed is going to be moving around just because of that main fact that every 3 years or every year you're going to have some that are just completely dying out and are gone. So do remember that. Keep those little runners going and keep them fertilized. And there are diseases out there. So get rid of them by getting rid of, cleaning out all the leaves and stuff out of the strawberry bed before the frost. Make sure it's weed weed free, because a lot of insects and diseases like to stick on those weeds during the winter. Make sure there's no weeds and nothing in that patch besides just strawberries before you put the bed on.
Another quick question. I put out some insecticide to get rid of the grubs in my lawn.
Okay.
How long does that insecticide that I spread on my lawn last?
It lasts probably for 2 to 3 weeks only. It's not a long lasting.
Oh, really?
Diox is not long lasting.
So I'm going to have to put another application on next spring.
In the spring, I would put another application on of the insecticide. It's going to be late April, early May that you would do that once they get to the surface of the soil and start eating again. And then in the summer, I would put the season-long grub control down so you don't have to do this every fall and spring.
Okay, well, thank you so much for the info.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
very much for the call. 395-1450, 395-1450. If you have a question for the Master Gardener, Jan Meeuwsen, she'll be happy to answer it at 395-1450. I need to pose this pose this story to you. But before we do that, we'll take another call. Good morning. You're on the line with the Master Gardener, Jan Meeuwsen.
Yes, I bought a calla lily plant in a pot, and I'm wanting it to grow outside and be a perennial outside. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that, whether I can put it outside now and plant it, or I should keep it inside and plant it in the spring, or what would you say?
Calla lilies are not a plant that you can keep outside during the winter. They need to be dug up every fall and brought inside, and the bulbs taken care of inside for the winter, and then you can plant them outside or keep them in a pot, whatever you want to do in the spring again. They do not take cold weather at all or cold soil. So no, they are not going to be a perennial here in Michigan.
Should it be cut down then?
What you're going to do right now is you're going to take it inside. Just cut it down and don't water it. It will go dormant, and then you can either pull the bulbs out of the pot they're in or put it in a new one or keep them where they are. And then next spring you can either repot it or, do whatever you want. And then you add some dirt, go outside. It'll be fine again and grow. But yeah, you can't keep it outside.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the call. 395-1450, 395-1450. Good morning. You're on the line with the Master Gardener, Jan Meeuwsen.
Yes, I have a question about hydrangea plants.
Sure.
I have two hydrangea plants that I had in one spot in my garden, and I moved them to another spot, and they are nice and green and leafy, but very few flowers. And this is the second year this has happened to me. Like I said, they look really healthy and the greens look wonderful, but I don't get very many blooms.
What kind of area are they in right now? Is this in a sunny area, shady area?
It's in a afternoon sun area.
That's exactly where they do not want to be. They like morning sun. They don't really like afternoon sun. That could possibly be part of it. Or just, the mere fact that you need a little bit more fertilizer that's got more of the middle number in it to help promote blooms. They will set their blooms this time of year. So take a look at the end. See if you see little swellings there. Those are the buds for next year. If you're not seeing them, there's a problem there.
Okay, I will check that out. Thank you very much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you very much for the call. 395-1450, 395-1450. I do want to get to this little story here and get your thoughts on it as someone who's involved as the Master Gardener, Jan Meeuwsen from DeBruyn Seed. The world's heaviest blueberry is weighing in at a little more than half an ounce. The Guinness World Record awarded Australian couple David and Lisa Mazertis with the heaviest blueberry record for their Oz Blue blueberry. with a diameter of almost 1.5 inches and weighing 0.57 ounces. The couple said they didn't try to break the record, but that type of blueberry is normally known for its larger size.
That's a huge blueberry.
The
I
Oz
wonder what
blue.
it tastes like. Osberry, huh?
No, it's Oz blue. That's what it is.
Osblue. Okay. I've never heard of that variety, but 1.5 inches in diameter, that's a good sized berry. You wouldn't need that many of them to make a pie.
No, but that kind of wonder, I was sort of throwing the challenge to our friends at Bowerman's and some of the other blueberry growers. Hey, maybe, there's the challenge. Can you top that?
Can you do a bigger one than that? Wow. They're gonna have to get the Oz blue variety up here, I think.
Well, it's kind of wonder, it's the Southern Hemisphere, and it's a little different in Australia than it is here. I mean, they're a little closer to the tropics than we are here because we're almost at the 45th parallel on these parts. But you never know. You never know. Let's get one more call before what's new with Patty. Good morning. You're on the line with the Master Gardener, Jane Meeuwsen.
Yeah, I have 2 hanging baskets of the tuberous begonias.
Yeah.
And what's the best way to keep them? We've tried digging them out, but that didn't work so well.
I would just honestly leave them right in the hanging basket. You can trim them back. I would still leave them outside for as long as you can because those things look beautiful well into the fall. Once you bring them in, I would just bring them inside, trim them back, put them in a cooler area like the basement. Don't expect them to bloom at all. I would kind of ignore them, water them every once in a while. Don't get them, over fertilized or anything like that. No fertilizer, just a little bit of water here and there. And then next spring, bring them back outside again and see what they do.
How much would you cut them down?
I would cut them down probably at least 50%.
Okay. Sounds good.
And make sure you cut off all the blooms. I don't want any blooms to bother. I just want some green. Cut it down to 50%. And put it in a cool area for the winter. Not a whole in a sunny room, but not in the direct sunlight.
Okay. Now we can transplant and separate hosta now too, right?
Yes, you can do that right now. Great time to do that. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Very much for the call. 395-1450, 395-1450. Coming up on Friday for corporate and Saturday for all of us other people, it's going to be the tulip plantings that Tulip Time is going to have over at the windmill, at the window on the waterfront, the tulip plantings on 6th Street near between College and Columbia Avenues, and it should be a lot of fun. More information at tuliptime.com for being a part of the morning plantings. But let's talk a little bit about tulip plantings and bulb plantings right now. This is a good time perhaps to do that exercise for your own tulip plantings and tulip gardens right now.
Yes, this is an excellent time to do it. A, you don't have to shovel snow, and B, you're not going to freeze outside. So, the annuals are probably pretty much done in your house, and you pull all those out, and you got plenty of room to put in your tulip beds, daffodil beds, whatever you're going to do. I have so much fun with mine. I love mine to pieces. But now is the time to get them. You got the best choice this time of year yet. Get out there and just, they're not hard to do. For a tulip 4-inch hole, point toward heaven, that's it. Might put a little Dutch bulb food in there. That's as hard as it gets to do this. So get out there and do it. Show your Dutch heritage.
Now, the thing is, it's one thing to put the bulbs in and make sure they're all ready to go for the winter. I know the city will probably put up some snow fencing once the bulbs are in to keep the critters out of the way.
Yes.
Is that the best? What about the rest of us? I mean, granted, you might want to get to maybe one of our fine hardware stores to get the snow fencing, but That seems to be a little bit of the old hammer to get rid of the moth type of philosophy in that regard. There's got to be a better way of keeping the critters away.
Well, yeah, there are better ways of keeping the critters away. If they're have a tendency, if you got some squirrels or whatever that like to dig them up, once you plant your bulbs, get a piece of hardware cloth or screen or something and put it on top of the bulbs. They can grow up through it. Make sure it's big enough for the bulbs to grow up through it, but they won't want to sit there and dig through that to get to your bulbs. So they just want to make a mess anyway. So we don't want that. And once they start coming up in the spring, tag where they are. Once they start coming up, that liquid fence needs to come out on top of it, because those deer and those rabbits will be out there before you will be to chew on that new little spring growth. So do be careful where you plant them. Or you can always just put them in pots, and so you can put them around and they can't get at them.
All right, quick question. We talk about maybe preventing the squirrels from eating the bird seed. You put some hot pepper seeds on there, and that keeps the squirrels away, and the birds, of course, don't mind. Can you do that with bulbs? Put little peppers on top of them.
You can do that with bulbs. That's not a problem. We've got the stuff that you can coat the bulbs with, so they don't want to eat them. So, hey, that's even better. They don't want to chew on them or whatever. So, yes, that works well too.
Well, sometimes desperate animals searching for food, their tummies are hurting and all that. They'll say, well, they'll just barge right through and, I'll take the heat to be able to.
Most of them will go, there's a lot of food elsewhere right now. They'll go elsewhere. So
yeah.
I think you'll be okay.
Desperate times calls for desperate measures sometimes with these animals.
Yes,
but
that's true.
You never know. But hey, put the hot pepper seeds out. It's not gonna hurt the growth of the bulbs, I don't think.
No, it will not. So yeah, put it on there. Not a problem.
The question
at all.
is, if you throw the seeds out there, are you concerned that maybe the peppers would grow up or not really?
No, it's usually a solution made out of the peppers, so not a problem.
You're not actually adding more seeds to compounding the situation. Speaking of seeds, let's get to the awards category, shall we? Because in our awards category, some of the more common questions that Jan gets at DeBruyn Seed. Let's start with maybe a solution of the week. And, we'd love to be able to plant the tulips, and that's so nice to have. But there are some fall bulbs that you can plant in that you don't have to worry about the deer eating.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of them that they do not like. Well, the most common one, of course, is the daffodils, but they also don't like hyacinths. They don't like allium. That's those great big tall things with a round ball on top. They don't like those at all. They don't like fritillaria. And for those of you who don't know what fritillaria is, they stink like a skunk. The bulb stinks. The flower stinks, but it is a really pretty, it looks like a tulip kind of going down, but it stinks, and the deer do not like it, and I don't blame them. Snowdrops, those little white ones that come up the very first, deer don't care for those either. Crocuses, another one that you can plant that comes up early. Deer really do not, and rabbits really don't care for those that much.
So they look nice, but let's just say they're not really appealing to the animals that,
yes.
Shall we say.
So there's other things you can do, yes.
Now, speaking about stinking, skunks are still a problem, aren't they? Tearing up the lawn.
Yes, because the soil temperature is still warm enough that there's all these insects right near the surface of the soil. Skunks know that, and they're out there at night feeding, and they'll just destroy your backyard looking for all of these insects and eating them. So, you can put the insecticide down, but it's going to take a while to work, and it doesn't happen overnight that all of a sudden they don't come in. And by the time it finally does start to work, is probably when the insects are gone and they're gone. So, hey, but it is something to think about. You might want to put a light back there, kind of a motion activated light that turns on. They don't like that, but there is the coolest trap out there called the Skunkinator. And supposedly, once they go in, you can pick up the trap, relocate the skunk to somewhere else, and it won't spray you.
Ah,
So that is the best part of that trap. So
yeah,
the
you don't want to have
Skunkinator.
the collateral damage. So the
Yeah.
skunkinator certainly will help. One way to keep the skunks away is make sure their food sources aren't there. And Dialox has been a very popular one dealing with the grubs.
Yeah, Dialox is the it's the product of the week. Everybody is coming in for that right now. I didn't realize that grubs were quite so prevalent out there, but I should have known because the beetles were really quite prevalent this summer. So, because we had such a mild winter last winter, not many things died off and everything seemed to live. So we're paying for that right now.
No, I'm not going to cue Paul and
Yeah,
John.
I'm just waiting for that.
Yes, the Beatles. It won't be long now. Yeah. But let's move on, shall we? A little bit forward. Leaving the building this yesterday afternoon, I had to shoo away a box elder. And it's like, oh, Jan's going to have a field day with this.
Sunny day again today. They're going to be out there, and they are out there in your backyards. I mean, if you've been walking around in your backyards, you're probably seeing stink bugs. The box elder bugs are kind of congregating out there, and those little Asiatic ladybugs, those little ladybugs that bite, they're out there too, and they all want to come inside with you. They all want to spend the winter in your walls where it's warm and they can just cuddle down in there. Love to do that. I don't like to share my house with them, so I'm out there with the home defense. I've got a perimeter around my house. It's like a Gestapo type thing. I go from the house 4 feet out. I go up on the foundation, around the windows and doors, the dryer vent, anywhere they might come in. I got home defense sprayed. They're not coming in my house.
395-1450. If you have a question for the master gardener, Jan Meeuwsen, she'll take it. We're talking about some of the hot topics at DeBruyn Seed, Washington and Elm, downtown Zeeland, that Jan and her staff has had to address over the past week. Speaking about not having the box elder, the ladybugs and the stink bugs share your abode over the winter, you certainly don't want to have ratfink in some of his buddies coming in. Mice seems to be an issue now too.
Huge issue because the nights are getting cooler. The mice are starting to look for a place inside in barns and garages and sheds, and of course your house. They would love to share your house with you. Something else. I don't want to share my house with them either. I walk around this time of year. I have sprayed the rodent stopper around where I know they might be able to come in. I spray it all around my garage, inside and out. You can spray this inside. Doesn't smell bad at all. Kind of a lavendery type smell to it. Doesn't smell bad. I do it while my cat is in the room. Kids are in the room, not a problem. It lasts for about 2 months inside, about a month outside. So I keep doing it outside for as long as it isn't, freezing weather. It seems to work extremely well for me, but I know where they like to come in. I know their little spots, so I can spray the bejeebers out of that. And get them so they don't come in, or don't want to come in. They can go next door, go somewhere else, pack up your bags and get out of my house because it's going to stink for them.
Yeah, no, the thing is, as you say, it's safe when you have the kids around, but also with the animals around. And the cats won't mind if you use that. It's not, they're not going to take it seriously. You got this rodent stopper. You think, I can't get these these little ones out of here. the cat will not hold it against you if you use rodent stopper.
No, he won't, or she won't. My cat just seems to think, well, I don't have to do as much work around here now. That's even better. So,
oh yes, these mezzodoozle cats that are lazy. But let's move on, shall we? Planting grass seed. This time might be a good time now to do that.
well, we're past the ideal time to put grass seed down. But it all depends. If you got a small area, I'd say go ahead and do it. I would put something that's going to come in quickly, something that's higher in the perennial ryegrasses that will come in quickly. Your problem is there's two problems. Soil temperature is warm enough. The grass seed will germinate. We have no problem with that. It's plenty warm enough. Will germinate. Problem is once it comes out of the ground, and now we've got that little like a peach fuzz on the ground of grass coming up, and then the night turns 28 degrees.
Ugh.
It will kill all of that little grass coming up. Or you got the little peach fuzz grass coming up, and suddenly your maple tree decides to drop all of its leaves on it. Again, smother it and kill it. So this, we've come to this point in time where it's a little iffy. Mother Nature is not going to say, yeah, I'm going to be really nice and let you, put down grass seed and give you 2 more months of warm, non-freezing weather. You just don't know. We might get it. I don't see freezing weather in the forecast. Again, I think you might be able to get some ryegrasses up. I think Kentucky bluegrass might be out of the picture. Takes too long to germinate. But then again, it might stay warm for quite a while. So I don't know. But if I had to do a large area, I would put something like fast grow down that comes in quickly.
And finally, dealing with maple leaves that might come down. You mentioned this before, but sometimes people don't pick it up the first time around. Don't need to rake all the leaves. You can let the mulcher take care of it.
Yeah, if you've got a mulching mower and you got a bag on it, or even if you don't have a bag on it, set your mower level to the highest it can go, and then go over the leaves. Now it's best if they're just like slightly wet from the dew, but not soaking wet. And just go over them a couple of times and really cut them down into little tiny pieces. You can keep them right where they are. Adds organic matter to the soil. It's a win-win situation. You just get to ride around on your riding lawnmower, and you don't have to rake those stupid leaves, and your lawn benefits from it. So I don't know. It's just like a win-win situation for everybody there.
Those are some of the top issues that Jan Meeuwsen and the staff at DeBruyn Seed on Washington Elm and Zeeland had to address over the past weekend. We call it our award category, and join us next Tuesday morning for another look at some of the top issues, the hot topics, here on the WHTC Talk of the Town Yard and Garden Show. Jan, we talked a little bit about leaves and not raking them as they fall.
Yes.
Are we getting close to the peak season for the changing of the colors? Because it seems like it's coming about the right time, early to mid-October.
Yeah, I think we're right on time this year for a change. It's usually right around the second to third week in October here, and I think we're going to see some pretty nice color around that time. So and then once all that beautiful color, then we get all the beautiful color on the ground. So it's always a double-edged sword there.
Well, it's
beautiful
nice to
on the
enjoy.
Tree and just gorgeous on the lawn. Yes.
Well, of course, it's very nice for those of us who don't have to worry about leaves on the lawn. I know.
Evil person, you.
Yes, we enjoy the leaves. We don't enjoy the cleanup. That's why we have somebody else do that for us. I do want to touch upon this, and then will be our last topic for the day. Broadleaf weed control. This seems to be a good time to take care of that right now.
Say 10-4 to weeds on 10-4. That was Sunday. This is a great time to put down weed control on your lawn because the weeds are bringing energy back down to their roots right now because of the cooler temps and the shorter daylight hours. You put an herbicide down to kill them, it will just very, very readily just take it right down to the roots and kill them. Problem is, you don't get to see that dramatic die off like you do earlier in the year. It just kind of fades away like it always does in the fall, and you're going to think, so what? The big thing is you don't see them again next year. That's the best part. So, we've got a dry week coming up. It's a great week to put down some lawn weed killer. This week would be a perfect week to do that.
And it won't be too terribly warm. Well, granted, we got temperatures in the 70s on Friday, as the forecasters are saying. Yeah, you're right. It's a good time to do it. I don't know whether or not there's any negatives right now in that regard.
Really, none. It's not going to be, it's not going to be 80 degrees and too hot to do it. So, yeah, get out there and do it. If you've been plagued by some broadleaf weeds or any kind of weeds this summer, I would get out there and do that this fall. Yes, right now, this week.
Now, there's some other things that we have in front of me, but I'm not going to have time to do it. I will throw this out because it's always something that we always like to talk about. Helping island dogs and Save a Gato. The aid for Puerto Rico is still going on. Bring the goodies over to DeBruyn Seed.
Yes, if you've got any pet medications that you didn't quite finish with your animal, or even I will take flea and tick medication, heartworm medication, antibiotics of any kind, whatever you've got, I will gladly take it, send it down to Puerto Rico. Gently used collars, leashes, I will take that, maybe some gently used toys. Treats, hey, if you opened a box, your dog or cat doesn't like it, I'll be glad to take it and send it on down.
Because they will certainly appreciate the
They'll find
efforts
someone
down
that
there.
will appreciate it, yes.
With that, we'll button up this edition of the Yard and Garden Hour with the Master Gardener, Jan Meeuwsen. Jan, thank you very much for joining us today, and look forward to chatting with you again next Tuesday morning.
Sounds perfect.
Thank you very much. That's Jan Meeuwsen, the Master Gardener. The Yard and Garden Hour is presented by DeBruyn Seed on Washington and Elm in downtown Zeeland.